Today's episode has been brought to you by OfferingTree. I use and love this software in my own business because it saves me so much time. It automates everything from bookings, online payments, Zoom integration, reminder emails, and so much more. Visit offeringtree.com/Shannon to check it out and to get our special discount for podcast listeners. Today's episode is also brought to you by Shelley Prosko's Balance Flow Yoga 7-week series, which is being hosted by pelvic health professionals and which starts tomorrow if you're listening in real time. Also, big bonus here, just for our podcast listeners, I have a discount code for you so that you can save $50 when you register. Use the code BALANCE. Head on over to pelvichealthprofessionals.com. That's where you sign up. Look under yoga, click on Balance Flow Yoga, and when you sign up, use the code BALANCE at checkout. This yoga series is happening live online April 11th to May the 23rd. Everyone is invited, not just yoga teachers, but also yoga teachers are going to find this really beneficial because Shelley's going to break down why she teaches this, the research behind it, and then how to teach it. You'll get to be a participant in the 6 weeks of classes after the initial introduction. Ooh, and members, if you're a member of Pelvic Health Professionals, this is included in your membership. Do not pay for this. Also, hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm recording today on the land of the Anishinaabe, Odawa, and Mississauga people, which is about 3 hours north of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. If you are new here, you might not know that I'm also a mom of 3, a yoga teacher, and the founder of Pelvic Health Professionals. If you are a returning listener, you know how things go around here. This podcast was created just for you, the yoga teacher, so that you can feel connected to a supportive community, as well as information and ideas that are going to help you along the way. Last week on the podcast, in episode 318, I shared some questions that I wish I would have asked before signing up for many yoga teacher trainings. And I also got pretty vulnerable in that episode. I shared that I got involved with a yoga school that got feeling very uncomfortable, that got feeling a little bit culty. And I wanted to share this, and it's been enough time. It's been over 8 years, and that yoga school isn't even running any trainings right now. I wanted to share that list of questions in case it might help other yoga teachers. And I also wanted to share this because if you know me, I'm a fairly confident and assertive person, and I am not known for just being quiet when things aren't feeling okay. And still, I got into this yoga teacher training group that did not align with my values, and it did not feel comfortable. And there were many harmful and abusive statements made in that space. And it took me a while to see it. And so if you've ever been in that situation within the yoga world or outside of the yoga world, please know that you are not alone and you can talk about it if and when you ever feel ready to talk about it. And let's have those discussions if and when we feel ready to help other yoga teachers avoid situations like that. Now, I also shared in last week's episode how I went from one yoga teacher training to the next for many, many reasons. And I condensed it, and it was quite a thing to look back and see, like, what was my motivation for signing up for that yoga teacher training? And then what questions do I wish I would have asked before some of those teacher trainings? Let me just clarify. I've taken lots of yoga teacher trainings that were amazing. And then I've gotten into some spaces and I've heard from other yoga teachers when things weren't good, when things weren't okay. So last week is like the questions to ask before you sign up for a yoga teacher training. And I hope that you add to that list and make it your own. Today, I want to talk to you about, like, do we really need another yoga teacher training right now? And this is if you're thinking about signing up for a yoga teacher training, you're thinking about investing your money and your time. I want to dig into what your intention is for taking the teacher training, because I've worked with hundreds of yoga teachers and I've seen different intentions. And sometimes it's not actually a yoga teacher training that we need, it's something else. Now, I shared a question in the Connected Yoga Teacher Facebook group because I love when we have discussions in there. I wrote in there, and I'll link to it in the show notes, I wrote yoga teacher training question. Share in the comments what your motivation is to sign up for more training beyond your initial YTT. And then I made this list and I asked, are you signing up for YTT to get an increase in yoga students attending classes, more teaching opportunities at studios or conferences, recognition as more of an expert, an increase in yoga teaching income, skills required to teach a specific style or population, your continuing education hours that are required, supportive community, or a continuation of learning and practice. And then I went on to finish or is there another reason? Share any and all reasons in the comments below. I'm creating a podcast on this topic, and as usual, your comments help with the discussion. So I want to dig into these a little bit. I want to dig into each one because there are different parts of this that are going on. If you are signing up for a yoga teacher training because you want to see an increase in yoga students attending your classes, or you want to see an increase in your income, which they're both sort of the same thing, right? More students attending means more income. So if you're really looking at, I want more people to know about this yoga and to come to class, or I want to make more money doing this, I would really dig in and ask you, are your students who are signing up, are they going to know that you took this other teacher training? Let's say you're looking at taking an anatomy training, and anatomy is really important to you, and you think, if I take this, then more students will sign up, or I will make more money as a yoga teacher. I would question that. One person outside of the yoga world, just this person I bumped into once, made such an impact when I told her that I was taking a yoga teacher training, and I think I was either a 500-hour yoga teacher at this time, or maybe I was going for it. I forget what it was, but her question to me was oh, I thought you just became a yoga teacher and then that was it. So that's what the public thinks. If they're not in the yoga world, they just think you take this training, you become a yoga teacher, and then that's it. People are not searching for, oh, I need to find a yoga teacher that has a minimum of 1,000 hours. Unless they're really steeped in the yoga world. So if your motivation is more students or more income, I want to ask you, could you do more marketing? Can you invite more people? Can you build that side of your business? And maybe that means taking a training or listening to more podcasts or reading more books on marketing and showing up and inviting people and sharing your offerings, which isn't always comfortable. I get it. But we've got you covered. We have a lot of podcasts on how to build your business. Reach out if you feel like we haven't covered something here on the podcast. Another common thing that I hear from yoga teachers is that they want either more teaching opportunities. Maybe they want to get a job at a studio, or they want to be asked to sub classes, or they want to be recognized as more of an expert. Now, if you are taking a training and it is specifically going to help you with your specialty or your niche, I get that. If you want to be recognized, let's say as a pelvic health expert, I get it. I did a lot of learning, continuing education in the pelvic health world because that's where I wanted to work. So let me see if I can outline the difference. One would be, I'm going to take this specific pelvic health training so that I can put forward this workshop to a studio where I teach all about pelvic health in this workshop. I really want to go for that. That's a different thing compared to, if I take more and more trainings, studios around me, yoga teachers around me, students, maybe people who host conferences or whatever, they will start to recognize that I'm an expert. And I would say, no, they won't. You still need to put yourself out there and tell people what your specialty or your niche is. It comes back to that marketing piece. It comes back to letting people know what your specialty is. You could take all the training in the world, but if you're not telling people about that niche, that is not going to move the needle for you in terms of being recognized as an expert or getting more teaching opportunities. Before I go into a few more points here, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, OfferingTree. If you are looking to simplify your yoga business, make sure to check out OfferingTree. I use their software. I love that yoga students can easily just sign up for a class, pay online, fill out the waiver form, get the Zoom link, and email and text reminders will go out to them automatically. All I have to do is put the link on my website or share it on social or in my email. And OfferingTree is giving our podcast listeners a discount. You can find that over at offeringtree.com/Shannon. Also, another note is I'm using OfferingTree right now to register anyone who wants to do the Balance Flow Yoga 7-week series with Shelley Prosco. That's hosted by Pelvic Health Professionals. We're really excited to host Shelley as one of the teachers here. And I love that in the back end, in OfferingTree, I can check the roster for everyone who's signed up. I can easily send that over to Shelley so she can know who's registered, who's paid. And I also really appreciate that I can set up discount codes in there, which allows me to track where people are hearing about the event. So all of this happens inside of OfferingTree. If you're like, wait a second, discount code, not to worry. I have a special discount code for you because you're a podcast listener. You can save $50 when you register using the code BALANCE. So you'll go over to pelvichealthprofessionals.com, look under yoga, click on Balance Flow Yoga, and then use the code BALANCE when you sign up. And the cool thing is on my end of things, which you can do if you use OfferingTree, is I'm only using this code on the podcast. So then I know, okay, who's listening to the podcast and signing up? Is it a good thing for me to tell you about events on the podcast? I could use a different code for my email. I could give a different code to Shelley to use as well. And that way we can track things. It's really cool. Yes, there is a replay if you are listening and it has gone beyond the dates of the live classes with Shelley Prosco. The live dates are April 11th to May the 23rd, 2023. But like I said, there's a replay, so you can still access it. All right, let's get back into really digging into our motivation for signing up for a yoga teacher training. Oftentimes when I would be in consultation calls with yoga teachers who said that they wanted to take a yoga teacher training, they would feel like they needed to upgrade their skills or their education level when wanting to teach to a specific population or when wanting to teach a specific style of yoga. And I would say 100% dig into that. If you are thinking, well, I want to teach restorative yoga, or maybe you want to teach a more trauma-informed yoga, maybe you want to teach restorative yoga for people who have dealt with trauma. 100% get the training that is going to help you the most. And go back and have a listen to last week's episode if you want to know some of those really good questions to make sure it's a good training that you're choosing. Also, I know yoga teachers who sign up for yoga teacher trainings because they want to be in that supportive community of like-minded people, and they want to connect with other people. I'm all for that. I love signing up to do that. I also love to just continue to learn and practice and work on myself as a person. So yeah, go for it. There's one thing that I really want you to consider before you sign up for your next yoga teacher training. What would it feel like if you waited to make some profit and then use that profit to invest in your next yoga teacher training or continuing education course? My good friend Betty Welsh, who was on the podcast back in episode 295, where she's talking about making money teaching yoga. A lot of you have told me you just love that episode. Again, that's episode 295, so you can find it over at theconnectedyogateacher.com/295. Betty does this. She implements this, and I love how she does it. She makes a profit in her business, in her yoga business. She saves that money, and then she decides, okay, what portion of this will go towards my continuing education or my personal development as a yoga teacher? It's not like she uses all of her profit for that, but she definitely will use that money when she goes to sign up for a training. I also want to address something that I see happening, and I see it on the rise. Maybe I'm looking for it more, I'm not sure. But the last few years, I see a lot of this happening. I have yoga teachers reaching out to me, sharing screenshots and telling me how terrible it feels to be pressured into something like continuing education or coaching or mentorship. And they're telling me that the message they're getting is you have to invest in yourself in order to make money. And some of these programs cost tens of thousands of dollars. And I want to say right here, right now, no one should be pressuring you to sign up for their offering. It needs to feel like a good fit. It's not like, hey, you have to decide right now, or you have to decide by the end of this week, or if you don't invest in yourself, your business is going to go down the drain. No. And also, please look for a coach or a mentor or a teacher who's actually done the work. If someone tells you that they can help you make more money, they can help you to fill your next yoga offering, I want to ask, have they done that for themselves, or have they done that successfully with other yoga teachers? One other note here, look for the pyramid schemes in both the yoga and the coaching world. I've seen yoga teachers and studio owners decide that they need to switch to a yoga teacher training model in order to make a profit because they aren't making enough as yoga teachers. And I've also seen coaches who switch to telling others how to run a successful business and make money when they were not able to do that themselves as a small business owner or an entrepreneur. Now, I am all for great business coaches, mentorships, masterminds, and continuing education. I've benefited a lot from these, but I know the difference. I feel the difference now of like, is this feeling like a good fit? Or does this feel like someone who I don't actually see the proof that they've done this, or this sales tactic feels like high pressure? I'm not into that. If you are looking for a yoga teacher training and you're wondering if it's a good fit for you, make sure to go and listen to last week's podcast episode about what questions to ask. That's episode 318. And another great one is episode 187 with Cecily Milne, where Cecily talked about how to choose a yoga teacher training. And in summary, because gosh, I hope this is helpful, please shop around with discernment. Don't buy a yoga teacher training or a coaching program or a mastermind or a mentorship until you make some profit in your business. You can do this. You can make the profit first and then dive in. Even if it means like, okay, I've got this other job, I make this money, I save it up, and now I'm going to buy this thing. There's a great episode, 280 with Shannon Simmons, where Shannon walks us through how to make profit from day one of your business. So you can make some profit, set it aside, keep that, in a different account or in your piggy bank or whatever until you see a yoga teacher training that you want to sign up for. Alrighty, connected yoga teachers. I hope this was helpful to you. Today's episode and last week's go together very well. If you have more questions about yoga teacher training, leave me a voicemail over at theconnectedyogateacher.com. There's a button right there that allows you to leave me a voice message. And then I'll be back here next week, although I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking about yet. I have two options in front of me. I either want to talk a little bit about confidence and imposter syndrome. Listen to me, I'm not even confident in which one I'm offering. No, really, I have some things I want to say about that, but also we have some fantastic guest interviews that I want to get out to you as well. So I'm curious to know, what do you think? We've been doing a long stretch of solo episodes. Do you want more of that? Or do you want me to get the guests on and do some learning from other people? You're getting tired of listening to me. Tell me in a voice message or send me an email, shannon@theconnectedyogateacher.com. Huge thank you to our team over here, Suzanne Crunch and Sinead, for bringing this episode together today, for bringing it to our listeners. And that reminds me, thank you to you, dear listener, for being here all the way to the end of today's episode, for really supporting the podcast by listening. If you found this helpful, share it with another yoga teacher. And I'm going to close out asking you, what will you be doing this week to stay connected to yourself, your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?